Taslik everyone. Uh, may I first request everyone to kindly put your videos on and microphone on mute. I request everyone to kindly put your videos on and microphone on mute. Thank you. Well, to introduce myself, I'm Tenzin Legmon, Assistant Program Coordinator of Tibet House, New Delhi. So today we are very delighted to invite you all to commemorate the 603 Parinirvana anniversary of Lama Tsongkhapa with the aspirational Bodhisattva pledge led by Venerable Keshe Abdullah, Director Tibet House, New Delhi. So before we proceed with the main event of today, I have a small announcement to make. On coming Saturday, which is on 24th November, we have a conference on neuroscience, Buddhist psychology, and cognitive science from 9 to 5:30 p.m. at Gulmohar Hall in India Habitat Center, New Delhi. So those who are interested to join, please follow the registration link, which is on our website. And our website is tibethouse.in. I repeat, tibethouse.in. Thank you. So we'll now start with the main program of today. But before that, I would like to say that since Geshe-la is in Vietnam right now, and there's the internet connection out there, so we might face connections problem in between. As we have done the meeting test before, so the sound is coming great, but the videos might freeze in between. So I request everyone to kindly bear with us. Thank you. And now I request Geshe-la to kindly proceed the program.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And this is Limra, can you hear me?
Yes, Geshe-la.
Okay, good. Today is Lama Tsongkhapa's anniversary. And in Tibetan is known as Ganden Ngamche. And in the past, all over in Tibet, the Tibetan people, the scholars, the practitioners, then the lay devotees, everyone remembers Lama Tsongkhapa, his contributions, and revered as the Buddha of the land of Tibet, land of snow mountains. So with this in mind, is as Buddha Shakyamuni very clearly indicated that whosoever engages in virtues on these special occasions, when the occasions when the enlightened beings performed various activities, various deeds for sentient beings, the merit accumulation is going to be multiplied by several billion times. So this being so, for us in commemoration of this great enlightened being Lama Tsongkhapa, in terms of enlightenment, in terms of the scholarship, in terms of disseminating the Buddha Dharma, in terms of articulating and the brilliant Nalanda thoughts in simple words. We're all very fortunate that we are together, and the fact that we are together to take the aspiration Bodhisattva vow is also because of the great Lama Tsongkhapa's, say the prayers and the activities. So with this in mind, setting up proper motivation. Let us engage in setting proper motivation with 3 points: refuge field, Boddhicitta field, and the purpose of this practice. The first, the refuge field, which is Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and the Lama Tsongkhapa, and all the enlightened beings in the space in front of us are so loving, caring, and embracing. Embody the field, visualize your two grandparents, your children, and all the sentient beings, and your family members, and all the sentient beings around you, where you are like the mother and all others are like children. And the purpose of our being together is, number one, to commemorate this great enlightened teacher, the second Buddha in the land of Tibet. And in so doing, to activate our Buddha nature within us by resorting to the two factors for awakening the Buddha nature within us. One is the unconditional love of Boddhicitta, and the other, the wisdom of emptiness. And with this in mind, in this recitation, the practice, and all the other sentient beings are joining us. Okay, this is my last screen sharing. Okay. No, this is my the last line. Good, 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 good. Okay, I imagine that you are leading this recitation, the practice, and all beings are joining you, and all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, particularly Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and Lama Tsongkhapa, and all the enlightened beings such as Guru Padmasambhava, and Sajin Kunga Nyingpo, and all the Sakya Masters, and the Jizun Tilupa, Jizun Narupa, Jizun Marpa, Jizun Mela, Jizun Thakpalache, and all the Kagyu Masters, and Lama Tsongkhapa, Gyatsarambuchi, Kidrambuchi, and all the great the Gelug Masters. In fact, all the enlightened beings are there with us, and then you're doing this practice, initiating this practice, and all join us. And to spread great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And to spread great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And to spread great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Okay, just give me 1 second. Screen sharing cancel. Okay. Refuge until enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, by my accumulations for practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, by my accumulations for practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, by my accumulations for practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sanje joda soge chonam la chanjo pardo dane gyapsuch Tage jinso gebe tsonam ki dola penjir sanje rubare sho Sanje joda soge chonam la chanjo pardo dane gyapsuch Tage jinso gebe tsonam ki dola penjir sanje rubare sho Sanje Joda Soge Chonam La Chanjo Pardo Dane Kyapso Chen Age Jinso Kebe Sonam Ge Dola Penje Sanje Jubare Sho Sanje Joda Soge Chonam La Chanjo Pardo Dane Kyapso Chen Age Jinso Kebe Sonam Ge Dola Penje Sanje Jubare Sho Mare Lemele Gyotas Tsayo Mare Gandhi on Mare Diwadi. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme of all teachers, the one who taught this peace, which is free of elaborations. I prostrate to the I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the Bodhisattvas, and the Buddhas, which through the knowledge of all lead hearers seeking pacification to complete peace, which through the knowledge of paths causes those helping migrants to achieve the aims of the world, and through the possession of which helps subdue and expand the varieties of teachings. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata, and protector to you are my prostrations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and has endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays, to you the Buddha make prostrations. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I journey the mind of full awakening for the benefit of sentient beings. Okay, let us recite this mantra, either the essence of Tibetan original mantra 3 times together. And as we recite this, just see if you can remember the meanings so that the benefit will be much more. And finally, the whole purpose is to activate the Buddha nature. To activate the Buddha nature, we need to depend on the reliable causes and the conditions. So with this in mind, the reliable cause conditions, including wisdom of emptiness and Boddhicitta, and by removing the material defilements which are responsible for blurring, obscuring our Boddhicitta. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham datha gato hyavatat esham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham datha gato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham datha gato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham datha gato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata, the cessation of causes as well as taught by the Great Seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear light and non-composite. Such is the nectar of Dharma I have discovered, finding no one who can fathom this teaching in silence out eternal words. Beyond utterance, thought and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unceased, and has the nature of space. It is object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddha, so 3 times of your basins. All the 4 seals of Buddha's teachings, all composite things are impermanent, all contaminated things are the nature of suffering, all phenomena are the nature of emptiness and selflessness, transcending sorrow is peace. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dhamma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha, the Guru is the source of everything wholesome. Go for refuge in the Guru. You liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of the expanse. The Buddha does not watch the negative videos of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of the suchness that the beings are liberated. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered miseries gloom. Instructions on parting from 4 attachments. If attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If attached to your own self-interest, you have no Boddhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. The page 14. Page 14. In praise of Buddha Shakyamuni. Praise to Buddha Shakyamuni. As we recite this, let us try to reflect on the meanings and see the qualities on the basis of which the Buddha Shakyamuni was praised. See if a part of these qualities are within us. If you do find that you have these qualities, rejoice in this and see how to nurture them further. But if we don't have these qualities within you, then see the seeds of within us, within each one of us. See if you can cultivate these qualities within us, and then see if you can nurture them further. With this mind, let us say this together now. Okay, together now. Together. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the four destroyer, the one, the completely perfected, full awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme God of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the complete and fully awakened one, the transcendent destroyer, and the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When O supreme amongst humans were born on this earth, you pace of 7 strides, then said, I'm supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then I prostrate. With pure bodies, formed supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, win of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme science, face like a spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Just feel like you, the 3 worlds are not. Incomparable wise one, to you that I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you that the Tathagata demonstrate, the purity that frees one from attachment, the purity that frees one from Limula Sunam Rizal Chikata. Limula Sunam Rizal Kada, Sunam Rizal Pagadi Tircha, Antusha. Sidul Mende.
Logisha is not Chidisha.
The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality to the Dhamma that pacifies and prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show the path to liberation, the wholly feel qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you the Sangha prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly, this is a teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew, or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, see conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the four faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Okay, do we go to Heart Sutra? Then Sudunla Dinanda. Sudunla. Sudunla the water can get right the blaze chat the table contents the revealing one's realization says this short and has the Mula gel motivation was this low. This one. Revealing the realization Jeremy Lamazonga Basura, author D. Okay. Heart Sutra. Mare Marasi Lemula, Shanda Shavan, Samas. We recite the Heart Sutra together. I prostrated to the irretrievable gem. And thus did I hear at one time. The Buddha was dwelling on a massive Valshas mountain in Rajgriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Buddha was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound illumination. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound illumination of wisdom and beheld those five areas also as empty of inherent nature. Then, through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara: how should any child of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound professional wisdom train? He said that in the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra: Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of profound professional wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly, beholding those five areas also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Empty is not other than form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, composition factors, and consciousness empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are empty, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness, there's no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no composition factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There's no I element and so on, up to and including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There's no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation path. There's no exalted wisdom, no attainment, also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in professional wisdom, the mind without obscuration and thus without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly completely awaken to answer a possible perfect complete enlightenment in reliance on professional wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the professional wisdom, the mantra of the great knowledge, the answer-pass mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as truth since it is not false. The mantra of the professional wisdom is declared: Dea Tao Gade Para Sam Gade Bodhi Swaha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train in the profound professional wisdom like that. Then the Buddha arose from their concentration and commanded the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage, it is like that, it is like that. One should practice a profound professional wisdom, just as you've indicated, even that the Tathagatas rejoice. The Buddha, having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, those surrounded in their entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that is spoken by the Buddha. Okay, as we recite the Heart Sutra, just let us imagine that we're all there. We're there on Raj, in the peak of Balchas Peak, where the Buddha Shakyamuni, then the all enlightened beings, His Holiness Dalai Lama, and Lama Tsongkhapa, Avalokiteshvara, Sherpa, they're all there. And then you are just there in the first row, surrounded by your two parents, your children, all of them members, and all their mothers mixed with you. And imagine that the Buddha Shakyamuni is exhorting us thus: don't remain in fears of samsara. Come to his ultimate happiness. And you hearing what the Buddha Shakyamuni is exhorting, you're so happy, you're inspired that you inform this to all new demon sentient beings, that look, this is what a compassionate teacher Buddha Shakyamuni is exhorting us, not to remain fierce on samsara, come to ultimate happiness by awakening the Buddha nature within you, by removing the mental defilements, by restoring the wisdom of emptiness, support the tempered by very powerful the altruistic Boddhicitta, are supported by the renunciation. And everybody hearing what you are saying, they're so inspired to join you in this journey of cleansing the mind of the mental defilements. Okay. Deyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Om Gate Bodhiswatyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate 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 Bodhiswaha. By the teachings of the three supreme jewels possessing power of truth, may inner and outer hindrance be transformed, may they be dispelled, may they be non-existent, may they be pacified, may all negative forces opposed to the Dharma be completely pacified, may the host of 80,000 obstacles be pacified, may we be separated from problems and conditions harmful to the Dharma, may all enjoyments be in accord with the Dharma, may auspiciousness and perfect happiness pervade this place now. Okay, we read the 8 verses of mind training next section. 8 verses of mind training, perhaps like 2 or 3 pages behind this. 2 or 3 pages behind this, 8 verses of mind training. Okay, good. 8 verses of mind training, particularly to subdue our ego and to enhance our bodhicitta. But what stops our bodhicitta to be awakened is by the counterforce. Counterforce is the ego and the aversion towards others. So this 8 verse of mind training teaches us how to eradicate the ego, self-referential ego, and the aversion, the hatred, disliking towards others, the anger. And to boost your self-confidence. With this mind, let's recite together. With the determination to achieve the highest aim for the benefit of all sentient beings, which surpasses even the wish-fulfilling gem, may hold them dear at all times. Whenever I interact with someone, may I view myself as the lowest amongst all, and from the very depths of my heart, respectfully hold others as superior. In all my deeds, may I probe into my mind, and as soon as mental and emotional afflictions arise, as they endanger myself and others, I strongly confront them and avert them. When I see beings of unpleasant character and those oppressed by strong negativity and suffering, I hold them dear, for they are rare to find, as if I have discovered a jewel treasure. When others out of jealousy treat me wrongly with abuse, slander, or scorn, may I take upon myself the defeat and offer to others the victory. When someone whom I have helped or in whom I have placed great hopes mistreats me in extremely hurtful ways, may I regard him still as my precious teacher. In brief, may I offer benefit and joy to all my mothers, both directly and indirectly. May quality take upon myself all hurts and pains of my mothers. May all this remain undefiled by the stains of the 8 maintained concerns, and may I recognize all things as illusions, devoid of clinging, be released from bondage. From my two collections, vast the space that I've amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds were surmised blinded by ignorance. The next. Yes, 7-limb practice. This is primarily to prepare ourselves to undertake the journey. For the journey, we need to be so well prepared, the things required, like the basic sustenance and so forth. So these are the 7 the kinds of practices required, and the enriching of which helps us pursue through the journey very effectively, journey of enlightenment very effectively. I bow down to the youthful Arya Manjushri, you the Buddhas, the lions amongst humans, gone to freedom in the present, past, and future, in the worlds of 10 directions. To all of you with body, speech, and sincere mind, I bow down, with the energy or aspiration for the Bodhisattva way, with a sense of deep respect, and with as many bodies as atoms in the world. To all you Buddhas visualized as real, I bow down. On every particle as Buddhas are Buddhas, nebulous as particles. Each time is a host of bodhisattvas, and I'm confident the sphere of all phenomena is entirely filled with Buddhas in this way. With infinite oceans of praise for you and oceans of sound from the aspects of my voice, I sing the breathtaking excellence of Buddhas and celebrate all of you Sagadas. Beautiful flowers and regal garlands, sweet music, scented oils and parasols, sparkling lights and sublime incense are offered to victorious ones of Buddhas. Fine dress and fragrant perfumes, sandalwood powder, heaped high with Mount Meru, all wondrous offerings in spectacular array offered to victorious ones, but transcendent offerings peerless and vast, with profound admiration for all the Buddhas, with strength of conviction in the Bodhisattva way, offer and bow down to all victorious ones. Every harmful action I've done with my body, speech, and mind, overwhelmed by attachment, anger, and ignorance, all these I openly lay before you. I lift my heart and rejoice in all the merit of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in 10 directions, of solitary realizers here still training and those beyond, and of all ordinary beings. You who are the bright lights of the worlds in 10 directions, who have attained Buddha's omniscience through the stage of awakening, all you who are my guides, please turn the supreme wheel of Dharma. With palms together, I earnestly request you who may actually Parinirvana, please stay with us for eons, numberless atoms in the world, for the happiness and well-being of all wondrous in samsara. Whatever slight merit I may have accumulated by making prostrations, offering, and teach, are not dedicated all this for the full awakening of all beings. The next. Okay, model offering. Imagine that all the good things that you have, the good things the world has, you may not possess them, but the world has. All the good things the whole universe has. Let us imagine that we're offering this to all Buddhas, Bodhisattvas in space in front of us. This ground unended with perfume, a stream of flowers adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha field and offer it. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure land. O Sajibge Joje Mendo Tam Rerab Leje Nyede Gambade Sanje Shendo Mede Buvaye Yogunam Da Jelai Juba. May I be blessed that my mind is directed towards the Dharma. May I be blessed that my Dharma practices on the proper path. And may I be blessed that the path is free of flaws. May I be blessed that the flaws are seen in the light of exalted wisdom. The 4 Dhammas of Venerable Bhikshu Mahasattva. becoming utterly frustrated with the ignorance that grasps a true existence. Please bless me to generate genuine renunciation, seeing all aspects of samsara as vicious and repulsive. Please bless me that my mind overflows with the precious Boddhicitta that cherishes others more than myself. Please bless me to have an immaculate experience of the wisdom of emptiness that does not see even an atom of intrinsic reality on the basis of understanding how things come into being by dependent origination through mere conditioning. Please bless me that my mind overflows with the precious wisdom of the bliss and emptiness. Edam Guru Ratna Menda Lagam Rateyame. The foundation of all good qualities. This is the roadmap for becoming enlightened, and there are only 14 verses that, as we recite this, the meanings are self-explanatory, but they are so precisely done by Lama Tsongkhapa, the author who they assumed Parinirvana on this day, and who left such a great legacy of scholarship, a legacy of practice, a legacy of easy, the easy following of the path for all of us, all the future disciples. So with this in mind, let us say this together. The foundation of all good qualities is a kind and perfect Guru. Correct devotion to him is the root of the path. By clearly seeing this and applying great effort, please bless me to rely upon with great respect, understanding that the precious freedom of this birth is found only once, is really meaningful and is difficult to find again. Please bless me to chant with the mind that unceasingly day and night takes its essence. This life is as impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly it decays and death comes. After death, just like a shadow follows the body, the results of virtuous, non-virtuous karma follow. Finding firm and definite conviction in this, please bless me always to be careful, to abandon even the slightest negativity, and accomplish all virtuous deeds. Samsaric splendors are unsatisfying and unreliable. Seeking them is the door to all suffering. Recognizing these shortcomings, please bless me to generate a strong wish for the bliss of liberation. Led by this pure thought, mindfulness, alertness, and great caution arise. The root of the teachings is keeping the Pratimaksha vows. Please bless me to accomplish this essential practice. Just as I've fallen into the sea of samsara, so have all mother migratory beings. Please bless me to see this trained in Supreme Boddhicitta and bear the responsibility to free migratory beings. Even if I develop Boddhicitta but I don't practice the 3 types of morality, I'll not achieve enlightenment. With my clear recognition of this, please bless me to practice the Bodhisattva vows with great energy. Once I've pacified distractions to wrong objects and correctly analyzed the meaning of reality, please bless me to generate quickly within my mind stream the unified path of karma abiding special inside. Having become a pure vessel by training of the general path, please bless me to enter the holy gateway of the fortunate ones, the supreme Vajra vehicle. At that time, the basis of accomplishing the true attainments is keeping pure vows and samaya. As I become firmly convinced of this, please bless me to protect these vows and pledge to like my life. Then, having realized the importance of the great at the 2 stages, essence Vajrayana, by practicing with great energy, never giving up the 4 sessions, please bless me to realize the teachings of the Holy Guru. Like that, may the Guru so show the noble path and the spiritual friends who practice it for long lives. Please bless me to pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. In all my lives, never separate from perfect Gurus, I enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages and the paths by quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. Okay. Let us recite this, the praise of Lama Tsongkhapa. So the manner in which we say observe the anniversary of these great teachers, these enlightened beings, is for us to follow their footsteps, for us to learn about their biographies and be inspired by their biographies. And the biography that Lama Tsongkhapa left is, as if we get a little time, we'll read that. Lama Tsongkhapa revealing the spiritual, the realizations, and where he said that his biography is the study, reflection, and a meditation of what he learned from the teachings of Buddha. So remembering this, this is the best way by which for us to remember these great enlightened beings. So in ways of their biography of particularly with Lama Tsongkhapa, study, reflection, meditation. So we should be inspired that in this life, I must somehow study what is Boddhicitta, what is wisdom emptiness, and in this life that I must somehow get at least some flavor of what Boddhicitta is, some flavor of what the wisdom of emptiness is. This must be the minimum target that each one of us should hold on to, by remembering this great teacher, Lama Tsongkhapa, that his biography should be our biography. His biography should be inspiration for us. So with this mind, let us, at the end, for some of you who don't know how this mantra came to being, I'll quickly share with you how this mantra came to being. This mantra is actually mantra in a sense. This composition was composed by Lama Tsongkhapa himself as a eulogy or as the praise to his own teacher, his own teacher. And by equating his teacher with the three perfect qualities of Buddha, perfect quality of love, Avalokiteshvara, and Aravinjushu is the perfect quality of the wisdom, and Arivajapani is the perfect quality of the power. And equating his teacher with these three, the bodhisattvas, or the enlightened beings, perfect love, perfect knowledge, perfect wisdom, and then the teacher, the Lama Jizun Rendawa Shunun Lotu, he read this praise and then he erased his own name. He deleted his own name and replaced it with his own student's name. Lama Tsongkhapa fits better with you rather than with me. And then it was given back to him and his disciples. They started to say this. They became so double blessed by him, by Lama Tsongkhapa himself and his teacher, and all over Tibet. This praise should be, and this eulogy, or what you call Miksama, used to be said all over in Tibet. Okay, we'll say this together on this day of Lama Tsongkhapa's Parinirvana day. In English first, followed by the Tibetan. You are Avalokiteshvara, great treasure of non-referential compassion, and Manjushri, master of flawless wisdom. As Vajrapani, dissolve hosts of demons without exception. Tsongkhapa, crown jewel of the sage of little snows. Losantaba at your feet and make prostrations. Okay, now we'll read the Tibetan. We'll sing to stand. Many of you already know how to sing this. And just to suit the melody, we skip the third line. There's no other reason, just to suit the melody. Okay. Boddhicitta, great treasure of non-referential compassion, and usually master flow of this wisdom, as well as Vajrapani, dissolve hosts with demons without exception. Tsongkhapa, crown jewel of the sages of the land of snows, love Tsongkhapa to feed them in prostrations. Okay, the next generating the mind of consummate yoga. For this, Limula, now we only when we take the aspiration Bodhisattva out, then we'll switch to the 3 verses. Till that point, we will remove the screen sharing. Okay, so the main practice consists of the 4 things. Number 1 is a single point of meditation. Then number screen sharing do shanti word limela. Then the kasura tanda mazu chenju mu tombaling irwa. The screen sharing the che. Screen sharing the CJ versum jiwa. Okay, the first one is the single point meditation, 5 minutes, followed by the renunciation on the basis of 4 seals. Then the Boddhicitta, with the help of the 4 the immeasurables, practice of 4 immeasurables, and then find the wisdom of emptiness, and then we take the aspiration Bodhisattva vow. Okay, already 5 minutes for the single point of meditation. And for the single point of meditation, I'll quickly give us a very quick, instruction. What we can do is that the single point of meditation, there are so many versions, and it's not that one is correct, other is wrong. As long as they're coming from a genuine tradition, everything is fine. So the 4 things to keep in mind: 1 is the body posture, which I expect all of you to know. Second one is the body visualize, or the object of the focal point. For the focal point, the tiny white dot between the nose and upper lip, and multitasking. While you focus your mind on this tiny dot between the nose and upper lip, you count your breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Cycle 1, breathe in, breathe out. Cycle 2. This is what we're going to do for 5 minutes. And as you do that, for 5 minutes, for some people it can be like 60 cycles. For some it can be like 70, 80, depending on the length of your cycle, the breath. And meanwhile, what is important is that the mental scattering and mental excitement, the errors of meditation should not happen. Mental scattering, also referred to as the mental excitement, and mental laxity, or the mental sinking. So these are 2 problems. Should any of these 2 things happen, then apply the remedies. And remedy twofold: mindfulness and introspection. Okay, ready? 5 minutes. Okay, we begin now. Okay, thank you. Okay, tandi di mare, lingmin la tan rin mare, tandi mare. Okay, sorry, there's a little interruption here. Okay, there's a little interruption. Thank you. Okay. Okay, next is the renunciation, for which we will do on the basis of the 4 seals. Ready? This is going to be a guided meditation. Just try to follow the instructions and see how much you can invoke the experience. Don't try to relate what you're doing, what the instruction that you're given now, with what you've learned, the things from before. If you want to tally, or if you want to compare, correlate, you can make these correlations, or the telling these after this session. For time, we just follow the instructions. The most important thing is to invoke your experience. Okay. Renunciation. Renunciation is to renounce your miseries. To renounce miseries, we need to know how to renounce causes of miseries. And the cause of miseries, finally, the Buddha finally indicated the self-grasping ignorance. When complemented by self-grasping ignorance, and that too when complemented by the self-centered attitude, this self-grasping ignorance will manifest in the form of the gross afflictions such as attachment, aversion, and so forth. So to get rid of these, the ignorance, the Buddha taught the 4 seals. The first, all composite things impermanent. Impermanence is of 2 kinds, the gross and subtle. The Buddha taught, whatever gathers will end in separation. Yes, this is exactly what is happening. In the case of each one of us, we have stories of the loss of near and dear ones. We were once so close to each other, and over time, we lose them. And the Buddha taught, whatever is accumulated gets exhausted. Whatever stands will fall. Whatever is born dies. And the Buddha further added to the question asked by somebody, is it that all that is born will die? The Buddha said, yes. Is it that all that dies will be reborn in samsara, in misery again? And the Buddha categorically made a categorical distinction. Those who die where the attachment is already gone rid off will not take birth in samsara again. But those who die with attachment intact will have to take birth in samsara in a miserable state. This is what the Buddha taught. In this world, we see that even nowadays on the news, we can see the whole village washed away overnight by landslide, by flood, and so forth. And whole village so alive, whole city so alive, now become the city, abandoned city, because of the warfare, because of wars and so forth. This impermanence. I reflect on these, the impermanence, the beauty. Our youth is being followed by the old age. Those who hit 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, we could feel that. And this is what is bound to happen to everyone, provided that people don't die untimely. Look at the weather. Look at the situation of the places. These will tell us the impermanence, the certainty of the death, and the uncertainty of the time of the death. This reality. And where there's gross impermanence, visible impermanence, they all are marked by the subtle impermanence, the momentariness involved. Physical things and the mental phenomena, the physical phenomena, we see they are marked by the material parts, atoms, electrons, protons, so forth, which are constantly in flux of change. And the temporal parts, we are constantly constant flux of change. And this momentariness, the change that you see in a year, for those of us who hit 30s, 40s, 50s, as compared to the younger ones, those who are in 20s, you look at those in the teenage, you said you're old. Those in 30s, you look at those younger. So this is how we see impermanence there. And the changes, but you also have been once a very young girl or young boy, and now they become older. And these changes over the span of 10, 20, 30, 40 years is possible only with the change happening on an annual basis, which in turn is possible if there's change happening on the monthly basis, weekly basis, daily basis, hourly basis, minute by minute basis, second by second basis, millisecond by millisecond basis. Yes, without these subtle changes, momentary change, happening, we can't imagine that things are happening on such a large scale. Yes, reflecting thus, we see that all composite things are going through momentary change, very scary though, extremely. All composite things move so fast, your body, your mind, the house in which you live, the whole country, and the whole world, the whole universe moves so fast. Millisecond by millisecond, they're moving so fast. And imagine that you are somebody unknown person throws you into a very fast moving train. What is your experience? It could be a very scary feeling. Faster the train moves, more the fear. Why? We don't know where this train is taking you. If the driver is your mother or the father, no doubt will take you to a expected spot. But if the the driver is the terrorist or under the dictate of the terrorists, it will only take us to the slaughterhouse. In a case, the driver is a mind, but unfortunately, there is under the dictate of the worst of the contamination, self-grasping ignorance. As long as we are under the sway of the self-grasping ignorance, you have loss of freedom. Loss of freedom throws us into three kinds of miseries: suffering change, and a pervasive condition suffering. So this world of contaminations, and this will invariably throw us into miseries. This is what the Buddha indicated as all contaminated things are suffering nature. Suffering like life, suffering like what? There are three kinds of suffering: the manifest suffering, sickness, aging, death, tension, depression, the losing your near and dear and so forth. Extremely agonizingly painful. These are the suffering. And why that since time immemorial till now we've been living in this suffering. Why did we not really come out of this? Because there's something which glues us there, that is suffering change. The lure, the bait is there, which traps us in this samsara, and the samsara is just a mixture of this suffering and suffering change. Glued to suffering change, we are sucked up into this suffering. And so that is how the contaminations give rise to the suffering change. And these two are driven by the mastermind. And the mastermind is none other than the pervasive conditioned suffering. Oftentimes, we never identify who the masterminds are. So here, likewise, we do experience what is suffering. We do experience what is suffering change, although we may not identify suffering change as suffering, but at least we identify them. Whereas the pervasive conditioned suffering, we even don't identify them. Only those who realize emptiness, who have some experience of emptiness, they could see that the fact that we are sucked up in the dream projected by the self-grasping ignorance, this is the worst of the contamination, and this is the worst of the mastermind. This is the mastermind behind all the miseries. The fact that we are under sway of this ignorance, self-grasping ignorance, projecting projecting things object real, projecting this dream of samsara, that is the mastermind of all. So this is how all contaminated things are suffering nature, three kinds of suffering. Yes, that's true. And for those of us who are very basic, who are very ordinary person, very the unevolved people, the suffering is so painful. So those who are a little more evolved, suffering of the change is extremely painful to see that this is what glues us. This is the greatest deception. And for those people who are most evolved, which the Acharya Dharmakirti very clearly indicated in Pramanavartika that when the Buddha taught this is the truth of suffering, the true suffering is to be meditated upon, the Buddha meant the pervasive conditioned suffering. This is what Acharya Dharmakirti indicated in his text Pramanavartika, saying that the most evolved beings will see that of the three kinds of suffering, the mastermind, the self-grasping ignorance, how the self-grasping ignorance gives rise to the contaminant karmas, give rise to the gross afflictions, give rise to the contaminant karmas. So these serve as a mastermind for all our other miseries. Okay, reflection thus, we feel so disillusioned, we feel so how tiring it is for us, exhausting us, for us to be continuously being perpetuated in these sufferings. Look at the suffering, the pain of near and dear one, losing near and dear ones. Look at the pain of just hearing the doctor saying that your illness is not something good, indicating there's something very severe. How panicky we become. Yes, this is all what created. This is meaning of samsara. We need to remember that. And then when you hear somebody being diagnosed with the terminal illness, we feel sympathetic. But in true sense, we are all, in one way or the other, we are all suffering from the terminal illness. One day, no doubt, 8 billion human beings today on this earth, one by one, will have either meet with the untimely death of the accident, or will be in the hospital, or will have such agonizing pain. This is how we have to live the world. This reality is not with somebody else who is unfortunate. It's with every one of them, all the 8 billion human beings. Believe it or not, 150 years from now in the future, not even a single person out of 8 billion human beings will be alive then. The whole world is going to be different, and all the 8 billion human beings out of this, maybe few will be remembered. Otherwise, we'll have no clue left that who you were, existed 200 years before them. This is the impermanence. This is miseries. This is reality. We are bound to go through these miseries. Okay, yes. It's the way out of this is indeed very tiring, and we shed tears endlessly, many all in our lifetimes. Can we bring an end to these tears of the pain? Yes, of course, there is a way out. How? Bringing an end to the cause of suffering. The Buddha taught, Ye dharma hetu prabhava. All the phenomena, they arise from causes. Our miseries, they never arise randomly. They arise from the causes. We put an end to the cause, and this is where the miseries come to an end. The Buddha taught, because this exists, that exists, because this produced, that is produced. Whosoever sees dependent origination will see the Dhamma. Whosoever sees the Dhamma will see the awakening, will see the enlightenment. Remembering these, we need to look for the remedy to overcome the ignorance, the root of all the miseries. Okay, what kind of remedy? The remedy is the wisdom. To remove the ignorance, to remove the darkness, is only done through introducing light. Likewise, to remove the darkness of ignorance is only done through the introducing light of the wisdom. What kind of wisdom? Wisdom, by the very definition, is a discerning mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with the reality. What is the reality? The reality is what the Buddha indicated as the third seal, that everything is the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Okay, we'll quickly meditate on emptiness. And for some of us who may be very new to emptiness concept, it doesn't matter. There's a great opportunity for all of us. And whereas there are many who are from NMC, NTC, and NCC, and NMC1, NMC2, and so forth. So those of us who are already exposed to emptiness, there's great opportunity for us to revise and recapture the experience of emptiness, the seed of the hope for freedom from suffering. Okay, you will meditate on emptiness of yourself. Okay, just think of yourself. What are you doing? I'm meditating. And what is your body doing? My body is in meditative posture. Okay. How does this person who you identified as the self appear to you? Yes, the person appears, I appear so object real, so solid real, not like a dream, not as projected by my mind, not as objective real, but as objectively real. This belief is self-grasping ignorance. Okay, how do we know that this is ignorance? This is not wisdom. This is not a valid mind. Yes, if the self does exist objectively, remember what Parinirvana said. If the mirage were to be water, were not those close by the mirage see water. Likewise, if the self were to be existing objectively, why do not see the self as a vehicle close to the object? Now let us go close to the object, which is technically referred to as the ultimate analysis. Subjecting the self to ultimate analysis by going closer to the object, and we just ignore all those things which are not self, because we're only interested in what the self is like, objective existence self. And going closer to the object, we see the very thin layer of the skin, behind that the fatty tissues, behind that the muscles, cartilages, the flesh, and alongside the whole skeleton, the heart, lungs, the liver, pancreas, intestine, stomach, gallbladder. All the solid parts, they constitute the element of earth, and none of the element of earth is the self. Next, the element of water, 4 liters of blood, which is pumped in and out by the heart to the different parts of the body. Of course, that is not me. Element of fire, 2006 joules of energy in the simply put, are the heat of the body heat of the element of fire. That's also not me. Element of air, 4.6 liters of air that are lungs, breathe in and out. Of course, that is not me. Element of space, 99.99% of our body is space. The space occupied, space between the nucleus and the electrons is far greater in comparison with the space occupied by the electrons in the nucleus of the atoms. From this, we see that essentially we are just a vacuum. But I'm not a vacuum. I'm a solid person, and a space vacuum in nature. These two are contradictory. Even the element space is also not me. What is left now? Element consciousness, my mind. Even this, my mind is also not me. I'm a male. I'm a female. My mind does not have a gender. Gender is based on the basis of my body. And also that people can see me, but people cannot see my mind. Okay. Okay, now you come too close to the self. towards the object, we end up seeing the 6 elements. Tell me, which of the 6 elements is the self? None of the 6 elements is to identify as the self. If you are definite with this, if you are certain with this, you have understood the emptiness of the objects being intrinsically one with its parts. Okay, now if it is these elements are not the self or not to be identified as intrinsically one with the self, see if the self still exists as objectively different from these 6 elements. Remove the 6 elements. What is left? Nothing is left there to be identified as a self different from the 6 elements. If you are definitely certain about it, you have understood the emptiness of objects being different from its parts. Okay, so knowing that these are only 2 possibilities for the self to be existing objectively, and since both the possibilities are ruled out, it automatically rules out that the self cannot exist objectively. If you are definitely certain with this is you are ascertaining the fourth essential of the provision. The understanding provision that anything which is empty of being intrinsically one and intrinsically different from its parts entails the emptiness of the objective existence of this self. Okay. So now with this understanding, where is this? You have come too close to the object. Where is the self there as object real? No way to be seen. It simply dissolves in the eyes of the ultimate analysis. Stay in this experience for a while. Some of you may get a tickling sensation of fear. Some of you might have a flow of cold waves through the thin layer of the skin. Some of you might have an extremely tranquil experience at the core of your heart. If any of these indications happen, you're very fortunate. You are in the proper direction towards emptiness. If these indications do not happen, don't worry. This is just to tell us that, okay, I need to study more, go through more extensive studies, reflection meditation, so that the experience will become real within me, that the mental transformation, actual mental transformation will take place. Okay. Yes, indeed, this is a very powerful practice, very profound practice. But what's the benefit of this? Yes. The fact that the self dissolves in this experience of ultimate analysis. If you subject all your sorrows, your miseries, tension, stress, and so for all these, when it's subjected in a similar way to the ultimate analysis, we say even those sorrows will dissolve. Sorrows dissolve, the mind will instantly feel the lightness there. And that lightness, feeling of the peace, feeling of lightness is extremely profound, so different from what we experienced before. Our past experience of happiness, the peace, can compare with this experience of the peace, which is so profound. Okay, now generate a very strong wish that may I experience this emptiness where all my sorrows dissolve, to experience the transcendence of sorrow into ultimate peace. Stay in this experience of aspiration. This aspiration, I want you to stay in this experience of emptiness where all your miseries are transcended, sorrows are transcended. This is the finest understanding of renunciation. Okay, slowly come out of this practice. Come out. Okay, it will take a few seconds gap before we move to the next Boddhicitta practice. Okay, ready? Okay, for the Boddhicitta, let us reinforce the visualization of all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas in the space in front of us as so loving, caring, embracing, particularly Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Lama Tsongkhapa, and all the enlightened beings as so loving, caring, embracing. And your two parents, your children, all of family members, and all dear mothers with you. Okay, we'll do this on the basis of the four image balls. And at times, these practices can become very superficial, may turn out to be very superficial, but always keep in mind that what we're doing is to say it's a practice. This is known as the training. Say when we practice the music, so initially you mimic your teachers, but no music comes out. It's only through continuously doing it over again, gradually it becomes very natural music. This is what we should. This is the kind of conviction that we need to have in this practice. So don't feel that okay, what I'm doing, what my mind thinks, and what I'm trying to do, these are very contradictory. Because there's contradictory, this is where we need to practice. Therefore, the practice makes sense. Okay, ready? Immeasurable loving kindness. How good would it be that all my dear sentient beings are endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness. May all my dear mother sentient beings be endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness. I will take the responsibility that all my dear mother sentient beings are endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas witnessing that you make such a courageous commitment, the intense happiness proud of you. And like the mother, after all these many years of raising her small children, today the eldest daughter, just 12 years old, eldest son, just 11 years old, two of them come to the mother, tell the mother, Mom, you have done everything for us. Please take rest. Now we are grown up, we'll take care of all our siblings. And this is how you have been so loving to us. We can't imagine how much you have given love to us. We also love you so much. The mother could not believe her eyes and ears. This is exactly what is happening. All Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, feeling so proud of your commitment of taking the responsibility of all the dear mother sentients on her shoulder. So this immense joy and the pride all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas feel invoke their compassion omniscient minds to send forth the soothing lights and nectars towards you and all dear mother sentient beings. The mere touch of the lights and nectars with the body speaks of yours instills in all happiness and the cause of happiness in the minds of sentient beings in yourself. And you witnessing such a miracle is happening to us all as dear sentient beings. You're intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths, sigh with relief. Immeasurable compassion. How good would it be that all my dear sentient beings are freed from suffering and the cause of suffering? May all my dear sentient beings be freed from suffering and the cause of suffering. I will take the responsibility that all my dear sentient beings are freed from suffering and the cause of suffering. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, witnessing that you make such a courageous commitment, they intense happy and proud of you. This pride and happiness invoke their compassion omniscient minds to send forth nectar of soothing lights towards you and all dear sentient beings. Their mere touch of lights and nectars with bodies and beings of yours washes away all the miseries and the cause of miseries from dear sentient beings yourself. And you witnessing such a miracle is happening to us all the dear sentient beings. You're intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths, sound the relief. Immeasurable joy. How good would it be that all my dear sentient beings are never separated from happiness and the causes of happiness that they're endowed with. May all my dear sentient beings never be separated from happiness and the causes of happiness that they're endowed with. I'll take the responsibility that all my dear sentient beings are never separated from happiness and the causeless happiness that they're endowed with. The Buddha's Bodhisattvas witnessing that you make such a courageous commitment, the intense happy and proud of you. This pride and happiness nectars for soothing life towards you and all ultimate sentient beings. The mere touch of lasting nectars with the bottom of yours stabilizes the happiness and causes the happiness that beings endowed with. And you witnessing such a medical sample towards all the different sentient beings, you're intense happy. Take 3 deep breaths, silent relief. Next, immeasurable equanimity. How good would it be that all my dear sentient beings are freed from the biased attitude of excessive attachment towards some and aversion towards others, and instead abide in the great state of equanimity, all other dear sentient beings equally, leaving them aside. May all my dear sentient beings be freed from the biased attitude of excessive attachment towards some and aversion towards others. I will take the responsibility that all my dear sentient beings are freed from the biased attitude of excessive attachment towards some and aversion towards others. The Buddha's Bodhisattvas, witnessing that you make such a courageous commitment, the intense happy and proud of you, this pride and happiness invoke the compassion of omniscient minds to send forth nectars or soothing lights towards you and all dear sentient beings. The mere touch of lasting nectars with the bodies makes you yours, frees the beings from the biased attitude of excessive attachment towards some and aversion towards others, and instead making them abide in a great state of equanimity, embracing all other dear sentient beings with total love and affection, leaving none aside. And you witnessing such a miracle is happening towards all the dear sentient beings, you are intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths, sigh with relief. Underscoring all the formations is unconditional love towards all the beings. Imagine that you are looking at the eyes of each of the sentient beings with such an intense feeling of love and affection, with a great sense of assurance given to them. Have no fear, I'm there to take care of you. To the extent that each one of these sentient beings feel themselves so special in your eyes. Okay, with this unconditional love, with folded hands, let us make a Boddhicitta commitment 3 times together. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. Stay in this experience of the most beautiful mind in this whole universe, the courageous mind, the mere experience which anybody else could feel that within you would make the person so relaxed and so much at ease. The most beautiful mind in this universe. Today you generate this. Slowly transform this beautiful mind of the Boddhicitta into a spotlessly clean Montesk, horizontally sitting on your heart. Okay, that's amazing that you made such a courageous commitment to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. That's amazing. But let's not forget that that no matter how much you squeeze a handful of sand, no oil comes out of that. So what about you? Yes, that's true. I'm not like a handful of I'm not like a handful of sand. Instead, I'm like a handful of sunflower seeds, squeezing which the Buddhahood can come out. I have a Buddha nature within me, like the gold when mixed with the mud, although the gold does not appear, doesn't glow, doesn't mean that the gold is absent there. The gold is there, the only that the glow is obscured by the mud. Likewise, I have the Buddha nature within me is obscured by the metal defilements. As Parinirvana very clearly indicated, that the purity of the light is within us is just obscured by the picture. So therefore the light is not visible, not because that the light is the absent within me. Okay, but then how come that since time immemorial till now, it never activated, and today how can you expect that it can be activated? That's true. Since time immemorial till now, I'm being totally deceived by these two demons, self-grasping, ignorant, self-centered attitude. Today I'm disillusioned by these two, and I will do everything to exterminate these two demons from my mind. What are you going to do? I'm going to resort to a very powerful remedy. Parinirvana said that the elaboration ceases through the wisdom of emptiness. So I'm going to resort to the very powerful remedy, which is the wisdom of emptiness. Okay, what is that remedy like? Let's quickly retrieve the experience of emptiness, which you meditated as the third seal, as a part of the four seals. Okay, what are you doing? I'm meditating. You know that you are made of 6 elements. Yes, subjecting the self to ultimate analysis, I can see myself that I'm made of 6 elements: earth, water, fire, air, space, and consciousness. Okay, subjecting self to ultimate analysis, which of the 6 elements is to be identified as intrinsic one with the self? Which of the, in simple terms, in ultimate analysis, where is this? And which of the 6 elements is the self? None of the 6 elements. That's 100% sure. Okay, if not the 6 elements, see if it is different from the 6 elements. Remove the 6 elements. Remove the 6 elements. Nothing is left. There's a self. Okay, now from the object, what's there's a self when subjecting the self to ultimate analysis? Yes, it's totally empty there. This is what I'm discovering. I'm not inventing. And that does mean that self doesn't exist. Self does exist, and also in the eyes of the conventional analysis. But what we are seeing is the self as seen as objectively real. Objectively real means it must be seen by the ultimate analysis. And to my amazement, the ultimate in the eyes of ultimate analysis, it simply dissolves. It's not to be seen. Stay in this experiment for a while. And I'm very glad that very recently in Malaysia, in Chensu Temple, we were about 52 of us was set for the retreat, a very intense retreat on the 70 verses on emptiness by Parinirvana. And likewise, such retreats happen everywhere in the world, in different the parts of the world, with a very intense, with all these practices done. So those of us who took part in this, and those who are NMC, NDC, and those who are not exposed to this emptiness, it doesn't matter. This is where we need to study more. In the future, we can take part in these retreats. That will be very helpful for us. Okay, so this experience where the self dissolves in the ultimate analysis slowly transform this realization that the self does not exist subjectively into a spotless clean Vajra, vertically sitting on the Boddhicitta heart. Okay, that's amazing. Now you have the non-dual Boddhicittas. The moon, symbolic of the conventional Boddhicitta, which wishes to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings, and the Vajra, symbolic of the ultimate Boddhicitta, the non-dual wisdom of the emptiness of the Arya Bodhisattvas. Amazing. These two will guarantee that your self-grasping, ignorant, self-centered attitude, these two will be eradicated, and all the offshoots, along with these subtle states, all will be eradicated, meaning that the two obscurations, afflictive obscurations as well as the counter obscurations, all will be eradicated. Thereby, your Buddha nature will shine so stainlessly. Okay, that's amazing. Yes, but let's not forget your two grandparents, your children, all the family members who are suffering terribly. Yes, that's true. But just general intense love and affection, compassion towards all your dear sentient beings. And this intense love and affection, they invoke the love and affection will invokes the Vajramuni in your heart to multiply infinite number of times. Okay, share one set of Vajramoon at the heart of your mother, one set of moon at the heart of your father, one set of moon with each one of your children, each one of your family members, each one of the sentient beings, the human beings, animals, insects, honeydews, hell beings, god and goddesses, spirits in your own country, in the entire world, in the entire Milky Way galaxy, and the entire universe, visible universe, as well as the non-visible universe. Oh, that's amazing. Now, all the sentient beings have the shared version moon from you. That's amazing. Also, let us not forget that all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, they are watching us. Why not we invite all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas to be the guests and to be the witness to our undertaking the ceremony of taking the aspiration Bodhisattva vow today. So as a gesture of inviting all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas to be the witness to our undertaking the ceremony, let us, along with all the other sentient beings, let us make 3 prostrations to all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas. Okay. And those of us who can sit on your right knees, please feel free to do so. And those who have the knee problems, or those who have the back problem, so feel free to sit in the most comfortable position as you like. And given that it'll take a little time, in the process, in between, if you start to feel the pain, then no need to bear the pain. Then you can begin with the sitting on the right knee, and later on you can sit on the in the most comfortable position, because the pain should not be hindrance to attaining the aspiration Bodhisattva vow. Okay, with this mind screen sharing, Lemala, the 3 verses. Okay, so I'll quickly explain the meaning of this. This is so reflecting on the meaning. This is the most important thing. The first, that just imagine all Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, they are with us as you invited, and that your 2 parents, your children, all the family members, and all Dhamma sentient beings are with you, leaving them aside. And you are making a commitment that I'm going to undertake a journey of enlightenment, and the journey followed by all the wise beings on the planet, in the universe, all the past Buddhas, present Buddhas, and the future Buddhas. And this journey to take us to the total fearlessness, where the misery is unheard of, where happiness is so expansive to the limit of the infinity. So given that this is a so important journey for you, most meaningful journey for yourself, for your family members, for all the sentient beings, you need incredible great support. And the greatest support that you can think of is the Triple Gem. So the first line says, go for refuge to the Triple Gem. And given that this journey involves a road, if the road is the road, if that is blocked by the boulders and the fallen trees and so forth, again you cannot undertake the journey. So this road must be cleared. And the road of enlightenment is none other than your own mind. This mind must be cleared of the mental negativities, negative karmas, afflictions, and so forth. Second line says, I confess the negativities individually. This is the best way by which to clear our negativities. And now the road is clear, but if the car does not have the fuel, again the car cannot move. You cannot undertake the journey. So the car is none other than your own mind. Your mind should have the fuel of the merit accumulation, enormous merit accumulation, enormous virtues of the accumulation of virtues. So the best way by which to do so is rejoicing in the virtues of all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, all the sentient beings, and yourself. Third line says, I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. Okay, now the road is very clear, and your cars have enough fuel. What kind of a journey I'm going to undertake? The third line says, the fourth line says, I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. I'm going to undertake the journey of the enlightenment towards the total fearlessness and infinite happiness for myself and for all the beings. Okay, this is my wholeheartedly. Let us say this together and imagine that all the beings are joining you and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, great pride and happiness. They're watching us. What are you doing? I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. Okay, the next two lines. For us to take the aspiration Bodhisattva vow, just the first one is good enough, but we're going to do in little more detail, adding the next two verses. So the next two verses, again, we need to remember the meaning. The most important thing is that meanings must be reflected in our mind. Invoking the Gurus, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas to be here to you. The first verse is about who on the planet Earth succeeded in benefiting yourself and benefit all the beings spontaneously. So seeing that in the history of humanity, we see the Buddha Shakyamuni. From this, we can see all the Buddhas of the past, the present, future. This is how they would succeed. They succeeded, and they would succeed on the basis of two factors. The first one, they generated very strong motivation, Boddhicitta, to become Buddha for all the sentient beings. As one having generated very strong the motivation, Boddhicitta, to materialize this aspiration, then they engage in the Bodhisattva practices, 6 perfections, the 10 perfections. Okay, if this is how they succeeded, I will also follow the footsteps by generating a very powerful Boddhicitta and engage to materialize this aspiration of Boddhicitta. I will engage in Bodhisattva practices. Okay, let us do this here 3 times. And imagine that you are leading this practice, and all the demon sentient beings, they're joining us. You're inspiring them like you as the eldest child in the family, and you are inspiring all your other siblings to join you, and all the other siblings, seeing that the sibling is a very noble thing, they also join you. This is how all sentient beings are joining your parents. Parents like all the Bodhisattvas, they're watching us. Okay. And to the third repetition, the last completion of the third repetition, imagine that you've recited Bodhisattva vow, and you feel the tremendous joy over having recited Bodhisattva vow. 3 times together. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please be here to me. Just as previous Buddhas have generated the mind of Boddhicitta, and just as they successfully dwelt in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of Boddhicitta, and I will to successfully train the Bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please be here to me. Just as previous Buddhas have generated the mind of Boddhicitta, and just as they successfully dwelt in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of Boddhicitta, and I will to successfully train the Bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please be here to me. Just as previous Buddhas have generated the mind of Boddhicitta, and just as they successfully dwell in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of Boddhicitta, and I will to successfully train the Bodhisattva practices. Feel the joy over having received the Bodhisattva vow. Feel this tremendous joy there. And yes, indeed, this is extremely meaningful. The Bodhisattvas, they are so proud of you. Just imagine that the mother, after all these many years of receiving complaints from the school principal about their daughter, her son, And today the school principal comes, again the mother is very apprehensive, again what kind of the complaints. School principal is very different today. I came with a smile, with great sense of, say, the tenderness, courtesy, congratulated the mother, and mother couldn't believe what for. And that your son and your daughter, two of them are appointed, they selected as the best students of this school for this year. The mother could not believe her eyes and ears. So this is exactly what happens to all the Buddhist Bodhisattvas since time immemorial, while they all expect all the beings like yourself, and they do not to suffer, but only experience happiness. On the contrary, we always engage in negativities that results only in our own miseries, which make the Buddhist Bodhisattvas so sad and demoralized. Today, for the first time, after all these innumerable lifetimes, today what you did makes the Buddhist Bodhisattva finally they take a deep breath, sign with relief what you did today. They're so proud, so happy, could not believe what you, the virtue, enormity of the virtue that you gathered today. So this incredible joy and happiness, the pride of the all Buddhist Bodhisattvas today, invoke the Vajra moon at their hearts to multiply infinite number of times. And all these replicas of the Vajra moon from the house of Buddhist Bodhisattvas, like rain shower, they descend to merge with the one that you visualize at your heart, thereby becoming non-dual, stabilized, and blessed. Likewise, all these replicas, innumerable, infinite number of the Vajra moons from the house of Buddhist Bodhisattvas, they descend merge with the one, merge with the Vajra moon that you have shared with your mother, father, or with your all your family members, your children, and all the demonstration beings, thereby becoming non-dual, stabilized, and blessed. Wow, that's amazing. You can't imagine that, say, as you as parents of your children, and what can you think of leaving a legacy for your children? Some wealth, some house, cars, and so forth. But there's nothing which is a greater legacy than the legacy of this Boddhicitta for them. This is the greatest of the gift for the dear sentient beings, for your children, for your family members, for your parents, for all the dear sentient beings. And today you gifted them with this gift. This amazing, this greatest gift that today you've done it. That's amazing. And also that the of all the offerings that you can think of to make to all Buddhist Bodhisattvas, the Buddha very clearly proclaimed that of all the offerings, that offering of generating one moment of compassion far excels all other offerings, including the whole universe filled with gems, filled with the jewelries, gems, jewels, offered to all the Buddhist Bodhisattvas. If this were to be the case, what I mentioned of our having taken the explicit Bodhisattva vow, the Buddhist Bodhisattvas would feel so happy. There's no greater offering to make than having taken the explicit Bodhisattva vow. And today you made this offering to all Buddhist Bodhisattvas. It's amazing. And since the time immemorial till today, what have we done? What good things have we done? Look at ourselves, look at our emotions, attachment, anger, jealousy, fear, and pains, anxiety, anguish. These are the clear indication of what we did in the past, all the negativities. But today you have done something very different. What we did in the past, all the negativities, they only ruin ourselves. They're nothing really a meaning. These are not at all a meaning. These are just what ruins us. Whereas what you did today, this is greatest meaning. And today, you've extracted the greatest meaning to your life, and you have given such meaning to your life. This is amazing. So, all these wonders are happening. The wonders which really deserve to be celebrated is happening all because of the kindness of all Buddhist Bodhisattvas. As a gesture of thanking all the Buddhist Bodhisattvas, along with all human sentient beings, let us slowly stand up to make prostration, three prostration of all Buddhist Bodhisattvas. Okay, please take your seats now. Okay. Yes, indeed, we are so fortunate to have taken this aspiration Bodhisattva vow. We are very fortunate. And yes, in this life, we are able to, we are very fortunate. Then the end, today is, which corresponds to Lama Tsongkhapa's day, and for which we are taking the aspiration Bodhisattva vow. Let's remember the Lama Tsongkhapa's biography in the form of, in the initial stage, that he engaged, he strove so hard in the studies. In the middle, he strove so hard to Buddha, and finally, in the end, he strove so hard in the practice, day and night, and then all the merits accumulated, dedicated for the proliferation of the Buddha Dharma. So this should be our biography. This is what we have to learn from Lama Tsongkhapa. And in the future lifetimes as well, okay, in this life we're able to do that. So now that we heard what the biography of the Buddha, Lama Tsongkhapa is, on that basis, in this life we can strive the way Lama Tsongkhapa did, and to follow his footsteps. And in the next lives, how do we guarantee that we will succeed in the same endeavor? Is by including them in a very powerful, including this in a very form of very powerful prayer. So let's say this prayer 3 times together, wholeheartedly. Imagine that all sentient beings joining you, all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, they're feeling so proud of you today. Yes, and they are there to bless us. Lama Tsongkhapa is there to bless us. His Holiness the Dharma is there to bless us, and the Buddha Shakyamuni and all the enlightened beings there to they bless us there. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the compassionate Buddha and be able to uphold the true precious Bodhicittas even in cosmic life. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the compassionate Buddha and be able to uphold the true precious Bodhicittas even in cosmic life. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the compassionate Buddha and be able to uphold the true precious Bodhicittas even in cosmic life. Okay, now to feel the joy of having received the spiritual vow, so that in the future lifetimes, when we connect with the teaching Bodhicitta wisdom and emptiness, not only we just connected, we rigorously engage in this practice, so that the path, Gade Para Sangbade Bodhisattva, this following the path becomes very swift and very fast. And for that matter, we include the how to trigger this joy with the Bodhicitta. And this is done in line with the advice and the teaching of the Bodhisattva Shantideva. Let's say this together along with all different sentient beings. In order to further increase this Bodhicitta from now on, those with discernment who have lucidly seized and awakened the mind of Bodhicitta in this way should highly praise in the following manner. Today my life has borne fruit. Having well obtained this human existence, I've been born in the family of the Buddha, and now I'm one of Buddha's children. Thus, whatever actions I do from now on must be in accord with the family. Never shall I disgrace or pollute this noble and unsullied race. Just like a blind man discovering jewel in a heap of rubbish, likewise by some coincidence an awakened mind has been born within me. It is the supreme ambrosia that overcomes the sovereignty of death. It is the inexhaustible treasure that eliminates all poverty in the world. It is the supreme medicine that quells the world's disease. It is a tree that shelters all beings wandering tired of the path of conditioned existence. It is a universal bridge that leads to freedom from unhappy states of birth. It is the dawning moon of the mind that dispels the torment of disturbing conceptions. It is the great sun that finally removes the misty ignorance of the world. It is the quintessential butter from the channel to milk Dharma. For all those guests traveling on the path of conditioned existence who wish to experience the bounties of happiness, this will satisfy them with joy and actually place them in supreme bliss. Today, in the present soul, protect us. I invite the world to be guests at a festival of temporary and ultimate delight. May gods, demigods, and all be joyful. Okay. Okay, so okay, we will read the Lama Tsongkhapa's the revealing realization. Okay, noble pursuit, reveal one's personal realization, and then we'll contribute to meditation prayer. Okay, so here what you're doing is that we talk about say biography. when talk about the biography, say the biography as per the ordinary people, as per the more mature people, as per the evolved people. It's very different. For the ordinary people, like for example, like reading the Jesus Milarepa's biography. For the ordinary people, it is like how the Jesus Milarepa as a young boy went to learned black magic, and then all these things which is very visually the something which is visual, sensational. They are the biographies for the very ordinary people. Whereas for the more the learned people, it is the so what kind of studies, what kind of thought processes, and for the very evolved beings, what kind of realizations somebody has reached. So we see that as you grow in your maturation of your mind, then even the reading biographies, looking at the same enlightened beings in terms of biography will be very different. So what you can read here is about the revealing one's personal realizations. There is a very high level of the understanding the biography of Lama Tsongkhapa. So let's take this opportunity, and that the Lama Tsongkhapa never ever said here that since my childhood I used to have this vision, that vision. So he never indicated this. He only talked about what he learned, how he strove in the study of the Buddha Dharma initially. In the middle, how he engaged himself more in the reflection of what he learned, and in the end, how he day and night put it in practice, and then what virtues gathered, dedicated for the proliferation of Buddha Dharma. So this is his biography in the eyes of the evolved beings. So with this mind, let's today on this day, we'll recite this together. Noble pursuit, revealing one's personal realizations, Dojo Dilemma, Lama Tsongkhapa. Om, may virtue prevail. The Guru, the eyes to see favorable states, a respite for those wandering in samsaric paths, the root of virtues and happiness. I prostrate to your feet, Venerable Manjushri, the treasure of wisdom. Rejoicing in virtue is said to be supreme by generating an overflowing sense of rejoicing over past virtues without the rise of ostentatiousness. The Buddha said, the virtue with conviction in the Buddha's words, and upon seeing other benefits, it is worthwhile that one practices rejoicing. At the outset, I pursued vast learning. In the middle, all scriptures resounded to me as pet instructions. In the end, I practiced day and night, and I dedicated all my virtues to proliferate the Dharma. Reflecting thus, the aspired goal turns noble. Immensely grateful to you, I am Manjushri, the treasure of wisdom. If not lit by the genuine lamp of learning, the path will not be seen. That alone lead one to the supreme state of nirvana. Knowing this, freed of complacence over partial and superficial understanding, I diligently studied all the texts by Maitreya and the six ornaments and the two supremes. Reflecting thus, the aspired goal turns noble. Immense grateful to you I am, Manjushri, the treasure of wisdom. Particularly with effort, I learned assiduously the difficult points of philosophical treatises, which alone are the gateway for ordinary beings to establish ultimate reality. Reflecting thus, the aspired I am, usually the treasure of wisdom. Despite the great amount of effort I put into learning the treatises of sutras and tantras, by no means was I more advanced than those who are untrained and illiterate in terms of the practice and explanation of the profound meaning. Therefore, relying on writings, on subtle logical ways to discern the profound, particularly by Arjuna, I thoroughly learned all the points that lead to the right view. Reflecting thus, the aspired goal turns noble. Immensely grateful to you, I Manjushri, the treasure of wisdom. For the journey to complete enlightenment, there are two vehicles, Sutra and Mantra. As widely renowned as the sun and the moon is the amazing superiority of Mantrayana over Sutrayana. While agreeing that this expression is true, if a scholar fails to inquire into this profound vehicle, it claims that he is intelligent. Where on earth can one find a more unwise person? Alas, it is deplorable to abandon the sublime path that is so rare to find. Realizing this, I diligently strove along in the virtual vehicle, the supreme vehicle of the victors, the profound treasure trove of the two feet, rarer than the Buddhas. Reflecting thus, the aspired goal turns noble. Immensely grateful to you, I am, Manjushri, the treasure of wisdom. For those ignorant of the modes of the path of the three lower tantric schools, decisively proclaim the superiority of highest yoga tantra over all other tantric schools is mere belief. In realizing this well, I familiarized myself for long with the general and the specific position of the three lineages of action tantra, like Sangye, the Sangwa Jikyu, the Sacred General Tantra, the Sutra requested by Sabahu and Samden Chima, later concentration. Reflecting thus, the aspired goals turn noble. Immensely grateful to you, I am, Manjushri, the treasure of wisdom. I learned Vajrayana Sambodhi, the foremost of the second tantric school, performance tantra. I gained good insight into it, reflecting thus the aspired goal turns noble. Immensely grateful to you, I am Manjushri, the treasure of wisdom. I practice the tantra of Paldenting Duba, Dubegu, the glorious tantra of the compendium of reality, the supreme of the third tantric school, Yoga Tantra, and a commentary tantras, Doji Semo, Vajrapik Tantra, and so forth. By training in the above text, I experienced the joyous feat of Yoga Tantra, reflecting thus the aspired goal turns noble. Immensely grateful to you, I am Manjushri, the treasure of wisdom. I learned Guya Samaja, the father Tantra, the mother Yoga Tantra, Hevajra and Chakra Samvara, as well as the root and commentarial Tantras. I also learned the stainless light, which illuminates the Kala Chakra Tantra, a great tradition which differs in its position from the other Tantras. These, the highest yoga Tantra, the fourth, are as widely known as the sun and the moon to the masters of India and Arya land. Reflecting thus, the aspired goal turns noble. Immensely grateful to you, I am Manjushri, the treasure of wisdom. This concludes the section where initially I strove extensively in studies. Next, I strove to gather all of the conducive factors. For long, I made fervent supplications with unwavering faith in Manjushri, the Supreme Being who eliminates the mental darkness of disciples, that the text might resound within me as pet instructions. Reflecting thus, the aspired goal turns noble. Immensely grateful to you, I am, Manjushri, the treasure of wisdom. Through this effort, I was able to immaculately discern the infallibility of the Lamrim that is transmitted by Nagarjuna Sangha, thereby the perfection, Paramita texts, and the most sublime of all the profound resonated as pit instructions, reflecting thus the aspired goal turns noble. Immensely grateful to you, I am Manjushri, the treasure of wisdom. In this land of the northern direction, amongst the learned and the not learned, there is unanimous proclamation that the genre of the epistemology, the compendium of valid cognition, and the 7 treatises on epistemology contain no exposition on the stages of experience, along with the journey to enlightenment. Yet the approving advice given by Manjushri Dinaka, you compose this compendium of valid cognition. This will be an eye to all sentient beings in the future, is considered valid by them. Seeing this to be the greatest contradictory statement, I especially explored, analyzed this subject. I studied the forward and the reverse reasoning to bring confidence in the reliable authority, a guide to the enlightenment. A content of the supplicatory words of the compendium of Vedic cognition by Acharya Dinaka. Thus a profound conviction arose in me in the infallibility of the Buddhas for those seeking complete liberation. This in turn engendered an in-depth conviction in his teachings, which alone are the gateway to the aspired liberation. There arose in me an unexcelled joy over seeing that this reasoning gave birth to an understanding of how to synthesize all the salient aspects of the path of the two vehicles, reflecting thus the aspired goal turns noble. Immensely grateful to you, I am Manjushri, the treasure of wisdom. Then by putting effort into the comparative study of the Bodhisattva grounds and the Sutra, Alankara Ornament Sutra, all the teachings of Maitreya and his followers appear to me as practical instructions. Reflecting thus the aspired goal turns noble. Immensely grateful to you, I am Manjushri, the treasure of wisdom. Through Shiksha Samuchaya competitive trainings by Bodhisattva Shantideva, in particular, which is a compilation of numerous texts of vastness and profundity, giving insight into the vital aspects of the path, understood well how to integrate texts such as the Sutra Samuchaya by Parinirvana into practice. Reflecting thus, the aspired goal turns noble. Immensely grateful to you, and Manjushri, the treasure of wisdom. Through the pit instructions eloquently spoken by Sangye Sangwa, I'm able to understand well all the salient points of the path of Samden Chima, later concentration of Varuchana Sambodhi as pit instructions. Reflecting thus, the aspired goal turns noble. Immensely grateful to you, and Manjushri, the treasure of wisdom. Though it is relatively easier to are subsumed under the three meditative Master Sangye Sangwa's succinct explanation of the profound practices by intertwining the three, the root, commentarial, and associated tantric texts, and because of his explanation of the profound practices of the three tantras in conformity with the Kamalashila's Bhavanakrama, the stages of meditation by mental darkness was dispelled. Reflecting thus, the aspired goal turns noble. Immensely grateful to you, Manjushri, the treasure of wisdom. The ultimate of all the sublime teachings of Buddhas, the highest Yoga Tantra, exceptional and profound among them is Shri Guhya Samaja, the king of Tantras. In relation to this Tantra, the immaculate teacher Nagarjuna said thus: it is through the Guru's oral instructions and by following the commentary Tantras that one will gain insight into the features of the path outlined in the root Tantras, as set forth and sealed in the explanation system known as the Six Corners and Four Modes. Viewing this as essential, I familiarized myself with the ultimate instructions of the Arya's tradition, Guhya Samaja, Dorje, summary exposition, and Jyoti compendium of function, and so forth. With great effort, with the help of Acharya Chandrakriti's Pratipudyo Dana, I practiced the root tantra by synthesizing the 5 great commentary treatises. As a result of training, thus, I accomplished the 2 stages of Guhya Samaja in general, and all the themes of the completion stage in particular. Reflecting thus, the aspired goal turns noble. Immensely grateful to you, Manjushri, the treasure of wisdom. By virtue of this, the salient points of many steps of tantras, like Kala Chakra and Deke, appear as pit instructions. I've already explained this in other compositions. Here, I'm merely mentioning it for the wise ones. Reflecting thus, the aspired goal turns noble. Immensely grateful to you, Manjushri, the treasure of wisdom. This concludes the second section on how, in the middle, all treatises appear to as pit instructions. Having become a treasure source of pit instructions, I endeavor to familiarize myself with the comprehensive path of the common paths of the 2 Mahayanas and with the 2 stages of the uncommon path, reflecting thus the aspired goal turns noble. Immensely grateful to you, Manjushri, the treasure of wisdom. Since it is said that the Ganges river of Bodhisattva's prayers is subsumed in the prayer to uphold the Buddha Dharma, I dedicate all the rules of virtues accumulated towards the proliferation of Buddha Dharma, reflecting thus the aspired goals turn noble. Immensely grateful to you, Manjushri, the treasure of wisdom. This concludes the third section on how, in the end, I practice day and night and dedicate all virtues towards the proliferation of Dharma. I compose this to reveal my realizations, to extensively multiply my virtues, and properly guide the many intelligent and fortunate ones to the unmistaken gateway. By the power of the collection of virtues obtained thus, may all sentient beings uphold unsurpassable actions of the Buddha by following these stages and enter the path that pleases Buddhas. Okay, thank you. We're done with the Aspiring Bodhisattva vow practice today. Ceremony of the Aspiring Bodhisattva vow. Now we will go to the end direction prayer. Just the 3 verses. Just the 3 verses. I think page 54 or something. Yes. Okay. Let us dedicate. No doubt that on this day we accumulate so much of virtues. On this day, on Lama Tsongkhapa's Parinirvana day, let us accumulate whatever merits, virtues that we have gathered for the long life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the true source of joy and happiness on this earth, that he lives long and that his wishes be fulfilled spontaneously. And also let us pray that all these learning centers, of the Theravada tradition, the Chinese tradition, the Vietnamese tradition, Tibetan tradition, all the other Buddhist tradition, may they thrive in the activities of the study, reflection, and meditation, and particularly the big monastery universities, where all these the treatises, the legacies of the great nun and masters are being studied, reflected, meditated upon. May they thrive in the activities of the study, reflection, meditation, and that all the sangha members, they live in such a conformity and the harmony and in a great state of purity. And also let's pray that the COVID-19 subsides altogether, and that all these unnecessary wars created by the unwise thoughts of some of the leaders, like the Ukraine war, may all these wars come to an end as soon as possible, and that all the people in Ukraine and so many people in Russia, they are also suffering because all the sanctions from the other countries, that the common people, they are suffering terribly badly. Education sector and the private business, everyone is suffering there, all because of this, the insane, the greed of the individual, the leaders. So let us pray that these wars, the individual leaders coming to sense how their own people suffer terribly, that they eventually, very soon, bring an end to the war of the Ukraine war. And let us pray that all these people who died to the Ukraine war, COVID-19, or otherwise, let us pray that they take a favorable birth to meet with the teaching on the Boddhicitta and the wisdom of happiness, so that each one of them will become such a reliable guide to lead all the dear sentient beings towards ultimate happiness with no fear in the mind. And let us also dedicate the merits that are scattered, that all the people who in the hospital, who go through all the fears, their fears stop, they recover from the ailments, illness, and so forth, to meet with their family members with such a joy and happiness, and to get a sense of the Dharma. And let me set the dedicated merits that scattered, that personally, that each one of you, through concerted effort in your practice, that each one of you soon see the dawn of the Boddhicitta and the wisdom and within yourself, that you become such a reliable guide to lead all demon sentient beings towards ultimate happiness. So with this mind, let us do the dedication, these three verses together. I dedicate the merit that is gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the prayers of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas of 3 times the doctrine and scripture, all lives through the force of this merit, never separate from the four wheels of the mind and vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect in the 2 stages. From my 2 collections, vast space that I've amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become a chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds, special minds, blinded by ignorance. Lemana di kandila mixema chiknerona, mixemati. Di kanda shu peche, shu chudun jungan re, mixemati. Shu chudun jungan re. We will say the maximum mantra at the 3 times together. Dijel, dijel. Or dijel, dijel. Say this mantra term together. In Tibet, on this day, in the nights will be just reverberated with this mantra recited everywhere in the towns, cities, villages, everywhere everybody's saying this mantra to invoke the blessings of Lama Tsongkhapa. We'll say this 3 times together. First, the English. You are Avalokiteshvara, great treasure of non-referential compassion, and Manjushri, master of flawless wisdom, as well as Vajrapani, who holds the demons without exception. Tsongkhapa, crown jewel of the sage of the land of snows, Tsongkhapa at your feet and make prostrations. Tsongkhapa lo sa cha be sha so ba de me tse te che re se che me ken be om bo jam be yam Kaje kebe tsoge tsokaba lo sa chabe sham la so va de me tse che re se che me kembe mo bo jambe yam Kaje kebe tsoge tsokaba lo sa chabe sham la so ba de. Okay, thank you, all of you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Geshe-la.
Yeah.
Thank you, Venerable Geshe-la. Thank you, Tibet House.
Geshe-la.
Thank you,
Geshe-la.
Tibet House.
Geshe-la.
Thank you,
Bye,
Geshe-la.
everyone.
Thank you. Geshe-la.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Geshe-la.
Tibet
Thank you,
House. Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you, Legmila.